Yeah, so as I was saying, which I deem very important for you to understand. Yeah, if I start right into it, you'll get confused. But now I hope that you understand the workflow even before we start getting into any code. Give me a thumbs up if you understand the workflow of a sample application, the movie application that we looked at. Give me a thumbs up if you understand the workflow based on the movie application that we looked at. Yeah, you know how things flow from the top to bottom. Okay, great, great. Now, today we are going to look at something else, but before we do that, if you've made an account with Daraja, you can give me a thumbs up. If not, a thumbs down. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with a thumbs down. Just means that you haven't, yeah, which you can do together. If you have, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. If you have, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Oops, there's no thumbs down. I was looking for thumbs down so that we can do it with them. Okay, good. Princess, perhaps you can share your screen and then we do it with you. Please share your screen. If you are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable, but I have to switch to my laptop. Can you give me like 5 minutes? I just switch my devices. Actually, not even 5 minutes. Let me just do it now as we talk.
So that we can create the account and then we see what's there. Yeah, nothing much, just a few things there and there. We check them out.
Okay, you can let me in the meeting.
Okay. Uh-huh. So the best way, if you have two devices talking, you can just mute one and listen using the other. Yeah. So we can see how to create. Good, good. Now I want you to just search the Raja API. Not the, yes, just search the Raja API. It will work. Good. Now click there. Yes. Good. Now you can close. You even can decide don't show this again. Good. Now I want you to click on login or sign up here. There. Now click on go to sign up down, just down there. Yeah, good. Now you can enter your details. So for the rest, this is us signing up to Daraja. It's relatively simple. Last time I checked. Yeah. So mhm, mhm. It's allowed. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So you can go to your email and check for that. Or you can just, yeah, go to your email. Go to your email first. You did not set the password, so you need to go to your email and then they will, I think, allow you to do so. No, email.
I'm seeing my email on my phone.
Oh, all right, all right.
Yeah, they've sent the email with a password for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, all right then. All right. So when you register, they'll send a they'll send the password on your on your email, then you'll use that. Remember to change the password later on, because I'm recording, yeah, so later on just change the password. Okay. Yeah, good.
Can I also stop sharing so that I can change my password?
Yes, please do. Stop sharing. Please do.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
All right. All right, so let's wait for a few. Once she's done, she will pop it up once more, and then we can proceed. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, the issue I'm having now
Uh-huh.
is this one-time password. Yeah. So this is the same one-time password that was sent. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not working because change password and login. It says that.
The one-time password entered is invalid or expired. Okay, just click on OK. You can close this pop-up. Just close it.
Sorry.
Close the pop-up. This for change password. Just close it. Now go to forgot password. I think it will work. Just click. Now email address. So I think this one will work just as usual, the way you do with other apps.
Okay.
Check your email. Hmm. Peculiar.
Yeah, it should work.
All right. All right. Uh-huh. Maybe we can diagnose it later. We can remain after class if you're free for a short while. Then we can look at it. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
All right. No worries. No worries. Um, Someone else. Rosemary, do you mind sharing? Let's see what happens to you.
Oh, I was doing it when Princess was doing it.
It worked fine.
Yes.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. No worries. I guess everyone else is fine. The others have said they're okay. Okay, now we'll dive into it. So Princess will look at it. So Warren, I show you something. Where is it at? Let me present now. Okay, there it is. Okay, not that one. Okay, where is it? There it is. So let me share my screen. Now, when you go to the Google Classroom, so let's go to the Google Classroom really quick. So Google Classroom, there it is. Now, for the Daraja STK, I've uploaded a new material called Component Repository, but now let me look at the people. Oh, 17 people, that's good. So if you haven't registered, the link is on the chat. Yeah, so the link is on the chat, right up there on the group description. Sorry, the group description, you'll join. Yeah, but this is a good number that has joined. I was worried. Now, when you look at the class, there is we have the introduction, which we will make use of today, the prerequisites. Final project, I think you're conversant. An overview, we already looked at it, the movie ticket purchase system. What you haven't looked at is the event booking system, which is fairly similar. I'll just brush through it really quick, yeah, and see how similar it is. And then now our topic of today is the STK push, the SIM toolkit and internet push process. Basically, this is the notes that we'll look at. So yeah, and now the accompanying code will be this component code repository. So you can come here, you'll find the Google GitHub link for how the things work. Now with the GitHub, I have made different directories or folders. So we have code specific for getting access token, Django version. It's not complete. If you're doing Django, it's your work to do the complete app. I've just done a little bit here and there, yeah. And then I've also catered for Flask. I love Flask, yeah. So maybe I put it there because I'll also use it at some point in time to explain for the movie ticket system now when you implement it completely. I have a Java version, yeah. I have a Node version, PHP version. I didn't use Laravel, so for those who use it, maybe I can give like a broiler, we call it broiler code, yeah. And then we have Python version. I code in Python, so yeah, it's accurate. Now here I added a result. We want to be using it because we'll be running the code live, yeah, so there'll be no need for that. Then we also have code for making STK push, yeah, just in addition to the getting access token. We'll see what getting access token is. Then making STK query. I bet you're hearing this for the first time if you hadn't looked at the Daraja API before. We look at STK query as the last thing for our course, yeah, because it is in my opinion that it doesn't affect the payment process in any way, yeah. It's just like for completion and also for ensuring that users have what do we call it, users have a friendly interface, just to increase the user experience, yeah, etc. We'll look at STK query as the last thing. Okay, great. So this is a repository. It's in the GitHub. It's also in the link. Sorry, it's in the Google Classroom and also in the link. I'll be making changes as I see fit because sometimes I might realize, what if I could add a certain feature so that you're able to view something better. So it's, if you're coding in other languages like PHP, try to tweak here and there. It's accurate, but try to tweak here and there and see how things go. I hope that's clear. Yeah, so let me leave it at that. Now today we are going to look at, let me do as I promised. Let me look at the event system really quick so that you try to understand how it is related to the other one, which is called, so let me just download it, how it's related to whatever we have looked at before. All right, great. Now let me download it. It will be easier. Let me put it in desktop. Oops. Okay, there it is. Now when you look here, when it comes to to this one, the event system. So event system is similar to the movie ticket. So basically you list the event from the database, users enter their full name, phone number and email, they click pay, and then the STK push is initiated. Of course, that's for the users. For us, we know there's a little bit in between. Then successful payments are recorded and linked. Of course, we know it's not a one step process. We know there are several things in between. Then optionally, we can send ticket confirmation to the user's email if provided. Now, and then no user registration required. So this is the database design. So basically, we have an event with its attributes. Then we have the event ticket. So in the other side, we had a ticket, but this one we just call it event ticket. Yeah, just one and the same thing. Parameters, attributes, you have customer name, phone number, email address, quantity, total amount. We know how to calculate total amount. Payment status, we know we have paid, we have pending, and we have the last one is failed. Yeah, so we have those. You can call them anyhow you want, but remember there are those three categories. You can even add more if you want to, depending on your project. Then we have M-Pesa receipt number. We know at the beginning it's null. I did not add transaction date to show you that it's not important. Yeah, so you can either save it or not. Even receipt number, you can either save it or not. It's optional. Now, after that, I also added push request so that you know which event ticket is associated with that particular payment, and that particular payment is tracked by the checkout request ID. Yeah, so checkout request ID, and then you get the event ticket ID. I hope you're clear until that point in time. You can give me a thumbs up if you're following well and you understand how that one is related to the other one. If not, give me a thumbs down, yeah, and then you ask your question, I will respond. If you're following, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. If you're following, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Don't feel shy. Thumbs down doesn't mean anything bad. It just means you want a recap. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Now, I told you I'll be really quick. Now, here is the code for creating the database. I don't want you to think about the SQL, so I want you to get right into the payment. Yeah. So I've given it to you. You have the event table, event ticket table, and push request table. Then the system workflow. How does it work? Number one, you ensure there's an event. Yeah, you ensure there's an event with at least one record, because you cannot make a payment for no event. Yeah, so ensure there's one record. Yeah, if it's Solfest, just add it there so that people can pay for an event. Then you display them. Now remember, you should not display event ID. You can, yes, but don't let users, what is event ID? No, just when they select, do it in the background. Yeah. Now, so internally each event still has its event ID, but users never see or interact with it directly. Now, user selects an event, so they click on book ticket button. Behind the scenes, that passes the event ID to the backend. Yeah. So what do you prompt? You prompt the customer name, you prompt the email address, you prompt the phone number, you prompt the quantity. Now, after that, you submit that booking data, which is that to what? Using JSON or the regular form we talked about, HTML form. Then after that, let me ask now, if now it's clear until that point in time, you understand, give me a thumbs up. If you understand till there, you follow and you're able to connect what we are saying, give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. Now, what else do you do? After that, now you come here and create the event ticket. So we are in the backend now. Now you create the event ticket. Basically, you fetch the event by event ID. You calculate the total amount, which is given by quantity times ticket price. You insert the record in the event ticket table, whereby you leave the status as pending. The M-Pesa receipt number, you leave it as null. Yeah? Then you format the M-Pesa number as shown there. You initiate the STK push request, whereby you give the formatted number and total amount. But in a few, we'll see there is more to that. Yeah, there is more to that. Then after that, we store the push request info. So you store it somewhere. Can someone give me the reason why we store the push request info? Why do we store the checkout ID? And why do we store it beside it a ticket, event ticket ID? How do we know what to store and what not to store? Anyone? Really quick. Anyone can explain why? Why we're doing number 8? Anyone? Why are we doing number 8? Anyone? Why are we doing number 8? Let's not feel shy. Yeah. Yes, Brian.
Can guess. Is the event ticket ID related to the new ticket that you wish to that you plan to book or buy, then that ticket is also holding the name of the movie ticket. And also for the checkout request ID, you mention it's used for the the M-Pesa is sends you the checkout request ID, which is used to track your records. So they can track your transactions through the checkout request ID. Then lastly, for the data created, it's like inbuilt by SQL, which will show when it was created, and if there's any update, it will go under that column.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, and when do we reuse this record later on, and why do we reuse it?
Which record? The
The
entire
the particular push request record. When do we use it again?
when you send a request for payment from, see you're notifying to the caller, to that phone number that you wish to pay. That's a push request. Then when it's accepted, it comes out with a checkout request ID. Is that correct?
Good, good. Yeah. When the callback stage comes in, that's when we reuse it to find the particular ticket that we are paying for. Yeah. Good, good. Okay, great. Now, so that's it. Now let's move forward. Now, when it comes to the callback handling, is when we use the checkout. So you remember Safaricom will give us a result or payment results, and within that result you'll be having something called a checkout request ID. So what do? You query that table using that checkout request ID as I showed yesterday at the end of the class, and then after that, from that table you get the associated ticket ID. And then after that you update it to paid, then you update the receipt number from the results again, yeah, and then you send a success response. If it failed, you do the same, you extract, then you see which one matches, then you get the event ID, which is from that record, you mark it as failed, then you leave M-Pesa as null, then you send your success response. Yeah. This one is just for me because certain scenarios are handled differently, so that's why I added that. So the same thing here, we already discussed that diagram, we discussed this other one. Now let's look really quick at this diagram. So here you start the payment STK push. This is for what, when you're initiating. Yeah, so to initiate, you just do what you okay, we start, you validate the input, you query for the price, you do the total amount. For the ticket, this is for the movie still, yeah. So for the ticket, you say as pending, null, you format the phone number, you send the request, then you wait. Yeah. Then you get the response, you store the checkout request ID on the push request table. If it's an error, you log it and then you return to the interface. Yeah. Otherwise, you can, yeah, there's that. Then when it comes to success handling, so if it's successful, now here we're in the callback. So you receive the M-Pesa callback, you extract the checkout request ID, the M-Pesa receipt number, transaction date, then you query the push request table for the checkout request ID. If it is found, you get the associated ticket ID, then you update the ticket as paid, M-Pesa receipt number, you give it, and then the transaction date you also give it. Then you generate the ticket if you're generating the ticket, yeah, or you give the code, and then you can send a confirmation after you've updated the ticket. Then you respond to Safaricom with a success response. If it's an error, you do the same thing. Okay, similar thing. You receive the error, you extract the checkout request ID. By then you don't know if it's an error, of course. Then you query the push request table. Now, if you find a record, you get the ticket ID, and then you update it as a failed one. You leave the receipt and date as null. You log in. Now, if there's insufficient funds, you can give those particular errors. These are very unnecessary, so maybe you send an email here, yeah, so you notify the user, and then you send your success. I told you success is regardless, yeah, so is that. I won't go through the last one given the interest of time, but now if you're together and you understand until that point in time, everything, give me a thumbs up. Everything is okay and clear, give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. Everyone else, please confirm so that I know we are moving at the same pace. I now want to get into the STK push itself. I want to get into the STK push itself. If you're not understanding, please let me know. That was just a recap of what you had done. Please let me know. Okay, now, so we're going to look at what we are supposed to look at today. I'll close that. So let's look at understanding access token retrieval, etc. Now, I'm going to log in into my own Daraja. I'm going to log in into mine. It was created a while ago. Now, let's wait. So I don't want this notice to be shown again, so I'll do that. I'll close it. Now I'll go to login. I'll log in. Now this is how it looks like. Yeah, so when you come here, you can see there's a dashboard. Here you can see the home. Oops, took me here. Let me go back. So you can see my profile. So profile, I haven't uploaded an image, blah blah blah. I can even change my password. Now I have my apps. This is very important. Now my apps is very important. Here in my apps, we have two things. So when you check here, we have Sandbox, and then we have this one called Filmer Enterprise. So in Sandbox, if you know what a Sandbox is, give me a thumbs up. If you know what a Sandbox is, give me a thumbs up. If you don't know, give me a thumbs down. We'll look at it really quick. Sandbox, Sandbox, Sandbox. Okay, let's look at a Sandbox really quick. Now, so, okay, let me go back here where it's, I'll just ask a simple question. What is a sandbox? Then I explain it to you. Now, a sandbox is a controlled, isolated environment where you can safely experiment, test, or execute something without affecting the main system or environment. It's like a play area for digital activities, allowing users to explore, create, test without fear of causing unintended damage, etc. Yeah? So it's where you can just play around. Yeah. So Safaricom has the same thing. So we call it a sandbox. It's like the main. It's like the system. It's like the main system, but it's not. Yeah. So people are able to experiment with their test and see how things are integrating with their systems easily. So it's like where we are playing around. It isn't anything difficult. You're not going to install anything at all. It's just two different systems. We have the production system and the sandbox system. Sandbox system, we play everything we want to do. We even sometimes they can even refund the money you use. In my document you'll see I'll say don't do that. Just use 1 shilling. 1 shilling should be enough. Or even if there is money, so don't do so. Yeah, just 1 shilling or 2 shillings should be enough for your experimentation. A maximum of 5. Yeah, so but it's your discretion, because they might not return it from experience. Now, depending on the something we'll see, depending on the till number you use. Yeah. So now here, that's what a sandbox is. We'll look at how different they are and how similar they are. If you're not okay with a sandbox, you can give me a thumbs up. Where you at? Oops, I closed it. Oh, it's in this other account. Sorry, I was confused. Okay, if you're okay with the sandbox, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. I thought I'd closed this tab. If you're not okay with a sandbox, if not, give me a thumbs down still. Yeah, so it's just plus somewhere you'll play around. We'll see it in real life, then it will become even clearer. Yeah, it will become clearer. All right, for those who haven't understood, don't.
I have a question. So it's like conducting a simulation of your project.
Yes, exactly. You're doing a simulation on how it will work in real life. Exactly. Okay, great. So there's that. Now, it will become apparent in a few. Yeah, in a few. Now, so where was I at? Now here we have sandbox and we have production. Now, how are they different? Sandbox looks like this. You can see how it looks like. Now, when it comes to production looks like this. It looks green. Yeah. If it's not approved, it will look red, I think. Yeah. So it says marked gray, production apps are marked green, revoked apps are marked red. So sometimes they can revoke. Maybe I had, maybe if you have seen in the news, some APIs, some credentials were cancelled for certain betting companies because they were not complying with the regulations of BCLB. BCLB is the Betting and Licensing betting control and licensing board. Yeah, so they were not complying. So this is how what they will give us. I'm not worried here. So now when you look at the sandbox, when you look at sandbox, they are similar, yeah? Just a little bit different. Yeah, now when you want to create a system, basically you go to your whatever, your dashboard, you create a new app. Then here you can decide what you want them to do. Lipa na M-Pesa. You can decide for M-Pesa Sandbox. This is for business to business. Remember, Safaricom offers a lot of things. Whatever I'm teaching in this course is just a drop in the ocean. Okay, not a drop per se, but a small percentage, yeah, of what they are doing. And the aim of this program is for you to know the most used one and also be able to move forward with the rest. So we also have Lipa na M-Pesa. You can decide also to select for M-Pesa Sandbox. So here you see B2B is just business to business, whereby I'm paying another business to customer. Now, if you're, this is what I presume, I abhor betting per se, but when you look at the betting site like Aviator, people are able to withdraw their money, yeah. So it's the business paying the customer. So that's what enables B2C. Then you have C2B, which is customer to business. It isn't related to what we are doing, it's something different, yeah. Then we also have taps. I don't know what that is. I haven't seen it. We also have Bill Manager Sandbox. That's just about management, etc. Then we also have B2B Express Checkout. I haven't worked with that. Then we have M-Pesa Ratiba. I haven't worked with that, yeah. But for now, I'll just select all of them, and then I'll give the app a name. So let me call this tutorial. Maybe I'll do other courses later on, so you can call it Tutorial May 2025. Yeah. So we do that, then we create the app. Now, when you create the app, so let's wait and see what will happen. Now, so it will say app created successfully. I'll click OK. It will refresh, of course. Now, when you come here, you'll see new Tutorial May. Now, I can decide to add API products, yeah, if I want, but I don't want it, so I'll just close it. I can decide to delete it. And then here I have credentials. Now, credentials, Safaricom gives you the following. Okay, you'll see M-Pesa Express. So what you're using is just M-Pesa Express Sandbox, yeah? So that's why they are M-Pesa Express alone. Here you'll see consumer key, you'll see consumer secret, you'll see short code, yeah? So it gives you consumer key, consumer secret, and a short code. We'll see how we are going to use these two later on, yeah? It's very important. So please take note, there's a consumer key and a consumer secret. We'll see what they are later on. When you look at a production one, not looking good. That should be a secret. Sorry, I'll edit that part in the video. So apparently I was not supposed to show you my consumer key and consumer secret. So always keep it a secret unless you want to give it to your developer. Yeah, unless you want to give it to your developer. I'll upload this video on YouTube because it allows you to, it gives some streaming capabilities. So I'll remove that part, yeah. So you'll be given a consumer key and consumer secret and a short code. So we'll see where all of those go. If you're okay until that point in time, you can give me a thumbs up. If you're okay until that point in time, you can give me a thumbs up. So that's how you do. Now, something to note, you can say I have a few sandbox apps. I think actually these ones I created one was in 2024. That's peculiar. That cannot be the case. Highly unlikely. Anyway, yeah, there's that. So we have those ones, you can see. Now, I always reuse, because at the end of the day, all you need in playing around, it's the same consumer key and consumer secret. So it's rare for me to create a new app, to come here and create a new app. Actually, as a matter of fact, I always come here just to create the live app. But here, no, I always see no need for that, yeah? So I just reuse them. Even the code that you'll see, it's something that I've used over time, yeah? So that's it. We also have an APIs here. So authorization, we'll look at authorization now. As your instructor, I won't be teaching you the nitty-gritties about authorization. Yeah, I won't come here and give you all this. I'll just show you how things are done, because I think it's simpler than coming and read here. So as you can see here, there's something called sandbox.safaricom.co.ke. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the URL we'll be using, sandbox. So here it's just to get our credentials. You can even try to simulate. Here you can see the errors that you can get. So if you see this error, you know it's this type of error, yeah? And this is the probable cause and how to mitigate. Also in the documentation, you can also see what is taken as a parameter. We'll look at that. And what is the response body. So what's the response? You will see how it is in the in live. Also, you will see this is the definition of the types of response. So here you can see access token is just that and that and that, but it's not of important right now. We'll look it later on. This is just an overview. Then there's also Postman. If you've worked with Postman before, I think that's what they're trying to get at here. Oops, not looking good. This is terrible. Away with that. Now, the other thing you can look at, if you go back to APIs, you'll see Dynamic QR, M-Pesa Express. This is the one we want, yeah? M-Pesa Express. So we can even look at it. Maybe you can try to query. I haven't seen being much of help to me, yeah? But at least you know what it takes, yeah? At least you know what it takes. And this is a blatant lie. It doesn't take only those. Yeah. I think this is why people are finding it difficult. This is a lie. It takes more than this. Okay, so there's that. Then you also have mini apps. Mini apps are like, I think are the ones which are when we visited yesterday, it was called Elim or something. Benjamin maybe can remember. When we went to the Safaricom Decode, there were these companies that are affiliated with Safaricom doing education, etc. You recall?
Yeah. Like in M-Pesa, you've checked M-Pesa app. There's a lot of stuff going on. So you'll see something to do with banking, something to do with Kilimo. So all that's why M-Pesa is known as a super app because it's an app but with a lot of applications inside it. So maybe you guys can go and have a look. M-Pesa has a lot of small apps inside it. The M-Pesa app, yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is the same, yeah, if I'm not wrong. And then we have docs. So these are just the documentation. Terrible, if I'm to say. And then we have go live. So go live. Here is when I want to go live. So I'll give the short code. Of course, I must have one. Of course, if you're moving to production, this is what you'll instruct your client to get, yeah. So it's a fairly not complex, but stretched process for some reason. Here you'll give your organization short code, your organization name as it is, M-Pesa username, etc., and then you can move forward. Yeah, I think I'll be getting also mine in a few because you are launching another product, not a teaching one, just something different. So yeah, then self-services. I've never been here, so I can't say anything about this, yeah, so I'll leave this out. Frequently asked questions, yeah, at least now you know. If you're comfortable with navigating this, at least to some extent, give me a thumbs up. If you're comfortable navigating this, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, so profile, my apps is where you should concentrate on, yeah, for the sandbox and also for live. The APIs is where documentation is, yeah. So if you don't have an account, that's how you find documentation is difficult. However, in my opinion, even if you come in here, it's still difficult to some extent. Then mini apps, I don't think it concerns you right now and doesn't relate to whatever you're doing. And then documentation, just the same thing. Not helpful in my opinion. Then go live. Now let's say you've created your production app. Mine was called Filmar. After creating your production app, now when you email them some things, then you'll get the go live. I suggest you go to their offices. I'll maybe, if I get time, if you're interested, I can tell you what documents to carry. Yeah? So there's that. Okay, great. Now with that in mind, let's get to whatever let's forget about this. I told you it's not that important, just for whatever I was telling you in my apps. Yeah, now I also have test credentials. I don't remember what they were. Let me see. Oh, this can be it. So there's another thing called a passkey. I'll show you what it is. So this one can come in handy. This is just an assumption that this is a passkey. I haven't tested it yet, but it's fine. I'll provide you one. When you go to production, they'll provide you one, yeah? So don't worry. Now, with that in mind, now let's get to today's topic. It's not this one. Okay, great, it's here now. So today, let's start from introduction. Sorry for the notes. I want it to be really clear, but I'll brush through, yeah? So M-Pesa, we know it's a mobile payment solution in Kenya. It provides various products like till number, pay bill, pochi la biashara, send money, etc. But now our interest is called the till number, yeah? Not the normal one, we'll see why. Now, our focus will be to implement this STK push, which you also call network NI push, yeah, so STK NI. So it can also be initiated using your mobile data, yeah. So allows business to request payments from customer through an automated prompt on their mobile phone. So the prompt is the main thing here. Now here we are using the client server architecture, whereby our devices are the clients and then Safaricom's is the server. If you understand the client server architecture, you can give me a thumbs up. If you understand the client server architecture, you can give me a thumbs up. Client server architecture. If not, give me a thumbs down. Maybe I might explain it briefly. Client server. For the rest, please, you can just react. It's just a way of keeping track of my students. All right. So I'll make an assumption. You know, if you don't know, please ask. Yeah, that's why I am here. Okay, now with the client server architecture, we have a client who sends requests to the Safaricom systems. Then the server is Safaricom system that, okay, I'm calling Safaricom. I'm not differentiating from M-Pesa. I'll call it Safaricom at this moment. But you can just call it Daraja etc. Yeah? So systems that process your request and send the responses. Then the requests are the messages sent from your application to Safaricom. The responses are the messages sent from Safaricom to your application. Yeah. So it typically include HTTP status codes that indicates success or failure. So understanding these codes are very important. Yeah, I gave them in the prerequisites. So if you just come to the prerequisites, you'll see them there. Let me just show them to you what to look at in case you're interested, so that you're not stuck. Really quick prerequisites. So yeah, here it is. Now, come on. Okay, now when you look at the prerequisites, it's right here. So understand headers and then understand the codes. I did not give them. Methods, headers, requests, Postman API. That's peculiar, but it's fine. I think it's somewhere here. Maybe I cannot see it. Yeah, but it should be somewhere here, integrated somewhere. Yeah, so you can check at that document. I've given YouTube videos etc to look at because it's not the context here. Now, if you're okay until that point in time, you understand which is the server and which is the client, give me a thumbs up as we now jump into the authentication process. As we jump into the authentication process. If you're okay, give me a thumbs up. I'm beginning to wonder whether I'm audible enough and whether we are moving together. It's making me doubtful. The rest, are we together? All right. Hopefully so. Now, with that in mind, let's look at the authentication process. Now, when you look here, you see that to interact with the API, you need credentials that identify and authenticate your application. This is now the consumer key and the consumer secret. Now, in my opinion, a consumer key is like a unique identifier. It's like your username when you're logging in. And then this consumer secret, which you must keep secret, of course, is like a password. So that's how we'll give the analogy. So a consumer key is like your username, and then consumer secret is your password. So whenever you're making a request, always give these two. Yeah, so these credentials are provided by Safaricom when registered as a developer. Yeah, I think that's a line some way when you register a particular app. Yeah, so when you come here and then you go to my apps and then you create one, that's when you're given. I hope you're together until there. Yeah, so you're given here consumer key, consumer secret, consumer key, consumer secret, consumer key, consumer secret, etc. Now, with that in mind, now we are going to have something called access tokens. If you understand the consumer key and the consumer secret and you're okay, you understand that they'll be used in the request, give me a thumbs up. If you understand that they'll be used in the request, give me a thumbs up, and that they're provided when you create the app on the site. So when you're told to create a Daraja app, don't think you're creating a full app. You're just going somewhere, you click some buttons and it'll be created for you. If you have a question, you can ask at this juncture. Okay, now I'll proceed. Yeah. Now, after that, we now have to find an access token. Now, these two will be used to produce something called an access token. Access token will come from Daraja. Yeah, so an access token. So basically, instead of using your consumer key and secret for every request, you'll use them to obtain an access token. So this is basically a temporary credential used for API request. It typically lasts for 1 hour, and then it enhances security. This is my opinion. Yeah, it enhances security because you're not exposing your consumer key and secret every now and then. So in my opinion, your consumer key secret is like your PIN, while your access token is like your fingerprint on a smartphone. So you want to use your fingerprint every time. Okay, at least for me, every time I want to log in, I just use my fingerprint as opposed to entering a PIN, only a password. Yeah, but after some time, of course, I'm always asked to now enter my code again. Yeah, so that's the access token. So it's just used once in a while. We'll see it in a few. Yeah, now how do you get this access token? Number one, we'll see that we load some configuration. What are we loading? We are going to load the consumer key and the consumer secret, which you have been given by Safaricom. Then after that, we are going to prepare the URL. Yeah, so we have a request URL, we prepare it. Now, when you come here, when you come to APIs, you'll see authorization. This is basically what you're talking about here. So authorization. So what you give when you check here, this is now the URL will query to. So just exactly as it is, there's nothing that will change. You'll see it in a few, and then it will give us the access token and when it will expire. So it lasts only for 1 hour. This is just given in seconds. In seconds? No. Yeah, in seconds. Yeah. So I think it's in seconds is 3,600. Yeah. So 3,599. Now, when we come here after okay, so we prepare the URL, we set the request headers, we'll see what they are, then we send the request. Yeah, after sending, we'll either get a success or an error. If a success, you pass the JSON response, you'll get the access token, and then maybe you'll use it wherever you want to use it. Yeah, so that's how we'll do it. But now let's look at the code really quick so that you can be able to determine. Let's look at the code really quick. Maybe you can even look at it from here. Now, when you look at getting access token, you get there, then using your favorite language. Mine is Python. Yeah, so using Python, this is the code for, are we able to expand? Oops, not the way you want. Okay, now, when you look here, you'll see that you get the access token. So what do? You send a HTTP request to retrieve the temporary access token. Where do you send it? If you're doing in production, you'll use this base URL, yeah? So you'll use api.safaricom. But if you're in sandbox, instead of saying api.safaricom, you just say sandbox.safaricom. So one is used for experiments, one is used in production. Yeah, so let's get that clear. Then here you'll see this URL. Basically, if you compare these and these are just the same things. Yeah, so out v1 generate grant type. When you look here, it's just the same thing. v1 generate grant type etc. Yeah, so the same thing. Then here we have my consumer key and my consumer secret. Yeah, my consumer key and consumer secret. Then after that, I give the URL. Basically, I'm just combining these two, because I don't want, when I want to give for production, I come and change everything. So I just come and change here and then it will be okay. So it's just combining these two so that they can become one long one like this. Yeah, one long one like that. And then after that, you add the headers. The only header we want, it's just to indicate that we are dealing with JSON. Yeah, content type will be JSON. If you don't understand, just do it like that. Don't worry. Now, after that, what do? We send the request. So here we are sending a request whereby it's a GET request. So take note, we are sending a GET request whereby we have the URL, we have the headers, yeah, and then we have the authentication. Basically, we are giving the consumer key, comma, the consumer secret. Yeah, this is Python. We'll see the others. So consumer key and consumer secret. And then this line basically says if there's an error, you give us the error. You don't continue. But if there's no error, I'm going to print the result of the getting the access token. Then it will show us what we have. Now, I'm going to also show it once more in the other people who are menus node. Yeah, so I'm going to show it in JavaScript. So for the same thing here, you have your base URL. Yeah, you can change it to api.safaricom if it's in production. Then here you have the access token URL. If you do this often, you'll realize that this part does not change. Yeah, so many a time. That's why I've separated the two. So you also have this one for getting the credentials. Then you have your consumer key and your consumer secret given from Safaricom. This is now the function. Remember, it's a GET request. Yeah, so this is the endpoint that does exactly that. Here, basically, if you understand, JavaScript, you'll know we are just adding the two, but now in a good way instead of using concatenation. Yeah, so we are doing that. Then we are sending the request here. So you can see Axios. Axios is for request, of course. So you send a GET request, whereby what do you provide? Okay, here I am. Okay, whereby you provide the URL that we have, comma, the username and password, just like we did in Python. Then you provide the header, as you say it will be a JSON application. And then if it has a problem, of course, it will be raised here. You'll see an error. However, if it goes fine, you can now display what they give, and then you can also now extract the access token. Here we're extracting it so that you can use it. Yeah, so that you can use it. If you understand at least that point, even without us running the code, you can give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Not that I will not run the code, I will, but I just want to check. If it makes sense, give me a thumbs up. What I've tried to illustrate on getting the access token, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Not that I will not run it, I will in a few. Getting the access token. If you understand, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Thumbs down doesn't mean a bad thing. It just means that I need to know the pain points. All right. Now, I'll change my screen into something else. And unfortunately, not a bad thing, but unfortunately I don't have a proper IDE. So I always run my code from the terminal. Yeah, so sorry for that, but it's going to be straightforward. Now, from here, I'm going to go right into where the code is. Now, you remember these, getting access token, making STK push, making STK query, readme. Yeah? So I'm just going to get access token. Now here, you can see all my files, Django, Flask, Java, Node, PHP, Python. Yeah, so I'm going to deal with Python. Yeah, so I'm going to deal with Python. So I'm going to open it and let's see what is there in. You can see it's just the same thing that we had. Yeah, so just the same thing that we had. Here we are having the configurations, the base URL, whether we are in sandbox or production, the access token URL, the particular one. We have the consumer key, consumer secret. Then we have the base. We are just combining the two so that you can have a complete URL. Maybe I can even print it here so that you can see. So print, I'll say complete URL is that, and then I say URL, yeah, so that it is clear. Complete URL after combining the two is that, yeah, maybe I can, and then the content type, yeah, so we have the headers. Then here we send the request, so then if there's an error it will be raised. Then here we'll be printing what comes from there, yeah, so we'll be printing that. Now I trust this looks good. This consumer secret is valid and this consumer key is valid, so I'm going to save it. I'm going to run the code here, so I'm going to run it. So after combining, this is how it looks like. Yeah, so you can see HTTPS, sandbox, Safaricom, blah blah blah. It looks now like at the complete. So I hope now it doesn't bring any confusion. Yeah, so it now looks the complete one that we had on the other side. Now, what is the result that they give us? This is the result that they give us. So in it, we have the access token as the first thing, and then we have its value right there. This is what we'll be using, and then we can see when does it expire. It expires in 3599 seconds. That's like an hour. Yeah, so if you're okay until that point in time, give me a thumbs up. If you're okay until that point in time, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Please, let's move together so that no one is left behind. Yeah, so that's how we get the access token. Now remember, in all our conversations from the beginning, I never mentioned access token. That's because access token, it's always used every now. Whenever you want to send an STK push, you must use an access token. Normally, I don't wait for it to expire and then I check as it expires. I always generate a new one every now and then. So if I need to make another STK push, I'll just generate a new one. Instead of me waiting for it to expire and then I start checking, yeah. Safaricom, if they complain, that's when we'll do something about it. But otherwise, we just run. I generate every now and then. Okay, if you understand why we are generating an access token, give me a thumbs up. If it's clear why you are generating an access token, give me a thumbs up. If it's clear why you're generating an access token, give me a thumbs up. Okay, great, great, great. So that's the access token for us. But now we are done with the access token, and we'll be seeing it now and then. Now let's focus on the, let me share the other screen here. So I'm done with access token, apparently. If you have a question, maybe you can ask, but for now I'm done with that. Let me share the other screen so that you can now move to the STK push. Let me move to the STK push. Here you can see how simple it was. Now, when it comes to the STK push, this is the screen I'm sharing, good. Now, when you look here, after we are done with the access token right here, we just jump to, so as you've seen, we load the configuration, we prepare the URL, you send the header as a JSON, yeah? Then you send the request. If it's successful, you pass the JSON, you get the access token, and then you use it, yeah? Now, when you, after doing this, now the STK push is a method that sends a payment prompt directly to a customer's phone. It eliminates the need for them to manually enter the payment details. So the customer simply needs to enter their M-Pesa PIN to authorize this transaction. Now, sometimes, if you go to supermarkets, they ask you for your number, and then you just give your number, then it gives to you. So you don't make an error and say, I was supposed to send 1,000 and then I sent 900 or 100. Yeah, so it cannot be a problem because you're just entering the PIN. Then number 2, abstraction of business details. Now, if you can notice, if you're going to my app to make a payment, a bid, you don't even need to know my till number. If we change it tomorrow, you won't even know it, yeah? So you don't need to remember, oh, they changed the till number, yeah? So that's an importance. Another one, so sometimes the client can tell you, why are we even using this? So you just give them this, yeah? So it's important. Then simplest updates. If you change your till number, customers won't notice. Then automated record keeping. As you saw in the app, I do not have to go somewhere, look for the record, and then update that this person had paid. So it does automatically, yeah? And how is it enabled? Using the callback. If you remember the callback, this is how important it is. Now, if you're together until that point in time, give me a thumbs up on the importance and an introduction of what STK push is. If you're together, give me a really quick thumbs up. Really quick. Okay, great, as we jump into it. Now, with that in mind, let's move forward. Let's forge forward. Now, what are the common response scenarios? Number 1, the user can cancel. Yeah, so the request can be cancelled by the user. For instance, there's a reason why in the code I've not put my number. I don't want every now and then someone is sending an STK push because they did not provide a parameter. Yeah, so also unreachable. Sometimes you'll see the S timeout user cannot be reached. Why? The person is away. Or even sometimes the phone is on, but for some reason I don't understand why. Maybe it's network issues. This one will be a problem, yeah? So that's the meaning. System error. So sometimes there can be a system error on Safaricom's end. So you'll see that. Sometimes there is no response. So sometimes you wait. If you don't put the PIN, it says no response from the user. Yeah? And then sometimes you have insufficient funds. I've never tried it out, but we have the balance is insufficient for the transaction. And then we have invalid PIN. So sometimes it says the initiator information is invalid. Yeah, so sometimes invalid. Sometimes expiration. So sometimes it takes a long time before it expires. So we have expiration. Then the other one is a conflicting session. So sometimes you can be sending a request and then maybe the person is doing another transaction. Or sometimes, if you remember, Safaricom cannot do transaction consequently. So if I cannot do it now and then I do it again for the same person, maybe that can be an issue. So those are some of the errors we'll meet. However, I can assure you, you don't have to cater for all of them. Yeah, so you don't have to cater, oh, what if it's an expiration? No. An error is an error, a success is a success. That's a good thing. All right, now, let me take some water. It's far away. Okay, now, when getting the access token, before you make any API calls, you need to obtain an access token. I hope you are clear with that. Before you make any call, obtain an access token. You have seen how it is done. So, as we said, what do? In Sandbox, you use that one. In production, you use that one. The only difference is the Sandbox and the API part. So that's the only difference. And then the process is you make an HTTP request to the appropriate, you use the consumer key and secret as you have seen, then you process the response to extract the access token. That's what you have seen, yeah? Getting the access token can be done from localhost even without HTTPS. So we'll also see that. So it doesn't need HTTPS as you have seen. I've just run it from my machine. It's not in the cloud. It's not even using a domain name. It works fine. Then the other thing, you now make the STK push request. So everything else you have seen and we have confirmed. Now let's get into the real thing. The real thing is now making the STK push request. Once you have the access token, you make what? You make the STK push request. So how do you do it? Number 1, you get the current timestamp to format that. Okay, let's just look at it live and then we'll come back here, yeah? So let's look at it live. But before that, as is usual, let me ask, are we together? If you're together, give me a thumbs up as usual, yeah? If you're together until that point in time, as we get into the STK push, give me a thumbs up. All right, magnificent, magnificent. Now, with us being together until there, let me share the correct screen. Let me do so. Present something else. Window, I want that one. Yeah. Now, I'll get out of that folder. I'm back here. Back here, you can see I have making STK push. However, I think it will be a little better if I present from the GitHub part, and then we'll come back to this one. Yeah. So let me do so. Where is it at? There it is. Share. Now, when you come here and you check from the GitHub, now when you come to the GitHub, I'll just go back from getting access token. I'll go back one more step. Now I'm here at making STK push. Now at making STK push, basically I'll use the Python version. Yeah, I have quite a number of Pythonistas here. So what do? Remember last time we only had STK push, we had the access token URL, we had the base URL, we had the consumer secret and consumer key, because those are the only things we needed. However, when you're doing STK push, more things are needed. So what are those more things? Number one, you need a business shortcode. Now, business shortcode, it will be given to you by Safaricom, so don't worry about that. But now, for now, you can just use mine. It's fine, yeah? So you can use the one given by Safaricom. In their documentation, they don't tell you how you get it. So it's, I'm like, I don't even know whether it's the same as the shortcode you were given before, but I'm like, all right, that's fine. The passkey, I hope this is not a production passkey. It's fine. Now, this passkey will also be given by Safaricom. You can use mine now, so there's no worry about that. Till number, Safaricom will give you, so don't worry about that. Till number will give you. You can use mine for the moment. I think I also got it from the person who I found a tutorial from. Then callback URL. You remember when I was saying callback, Safaricom sends you something for you to save. I need to confirm this from you. If you remember that, give me a thumbs up. Safaricom sends you something. There can a M-Pesa receipt number, there can a transaction date, there can a amount, there can merchant ID sometimes, there can yeah, so you have to give them the URL where they're supposed to send that. Yeah, so you are supposed to give the URL where they are supposed to do what? To send that. I repeat, you're supposed to give them the URL where they're supposed to send that. So here, you give them the URL that they're supposed to send that. And as you can see, it must always be HTTPS. I repeat, it must always be HTTPS. If you don't give it, of course, it will fail on their end. They will not send you anything. So always give the correct URL, yeah? So tell them, I want you to send it at this endpoint, yeah? I think I'll show you mine where it's sent at, yeah? So send it to the correct endpoint. Then the other thing is to get the access token. Oh, have I jumped? No, sorry. So we know where the base URL is, either the production or sandbox. We know what the access token URL is. We have seen how to get the access token and the URL it is. Then now when it comes to STK push, it's a little bit different. So while for access token looks like this, for STK push looks a little different like that. Now let me show you from Safaricom's endpoint point of view. So we are using M-Pesa Express, remember that. So I'm going just to query. Now when you check, you can see how it is, yeah? So M-Pesa, STK push, version 1 query. Peculiar. Mine doesn't look like that. All right, maybe I'm using a previous version of M-Pesa. Okay, I can assure you mine doesn't look like that. That's why sometimes I'm wary of what these guys are giving us. Let me look at the simulate one. Yeah, so mine looks like this, yeah? Why are they having different versions of the same thing? Yeah, so mine looks like this. You will see M-Pesa STK push version 1 process request. So when you come here, you'll see the same thing, M-Pesa STK push version 1 process request. Business shortcode, I've told you it will be given to you. So when you're going to production, ensure it is given to you by Safaricom. Passkey, the same thing. Till number, the same thing. Callback URL is where they will send. So you're the one to determine, yeah? Consumer key, consumer secret, as I've told you, it will be given to you when you create the app on Daraja. If you're clear until that point in time on where we're getting all those and what they entail, give me a thumbs up. If you're clear until that point in time, what we're getting from Safaricom, what we need to make the STK push, give me a thumbs up. All right. Now, when you check here, I still have the get access token because I told you anytime I need to make a request, I need to have it. So instead of always including the code here, I can just make it to a separate function, and then I can always be calling the function, yeah? So calling the function here for me to get the access token. Now, so STK push, basically, what are you getting from the normal code? Remember, I told you before doing the STK push, you need to get the amount of money you need to pay. So if it's 3 tickets, you do 3 times the price of a movie, and then you send it. So if it's 3,000, you send 3,000, then the phone number, you give it there. Yeah, so it's just a random number. Of course, now you'll pass in your proper number, yeah, like shown here. So in this case, you'll pass the amount, let's say as 100, etc, 1,000, the phone number using my own phone number, yeah, so there's that. Now, once you do that, I told you must create a timestamp. Now, I've not created a in my experience, I've not created API endpoints that need these, but now in my opinion, this is just for security. So you just create a timestamp. Timestamp basically means you create a string whereby you have the year, the month, the date, the hour, the minute, and the second. We'll see the same thing on the other side. So you create that. Of course, here I'm using datetype.now. It's a function in Python to give the current date and time, yeah? So you do that. And then for the password, I'll also print it for you to see, don't worry. For the password, what do? You combine the business shortcode up here, the one you'll get from Safaricom. Then you combine the passkey right here that also you'll get from Safaricom, and then you combine what? You combine the timestamp that you generated up here. Now, I don't remember what I was doing here. Last time I checked, I tried to encode, it didn't work, so I also encoded and then I decoded, yeah. So you'll follow the same thing, it will work, yeah. So don't worry. So you encode and then you decode. I don't remember the reasoning back then. So that's the password. After doing that, you now create the query. Remember the other time we just combined them, config base URL and the STK push URL, we added the two, so we do the same thing here. Then in the headers, last time we only had one header, whereby it was the JSON header. Yeah, but this time we have two of them. You have the header, which is the content type, and then you also have the authorization. So you do bearer plus access token. Don't do anything else, yeah? So those two headers. Now, after that, now you have the payload, what you're supposed to send to Safaricom. Yeah, so what do you send? You send a business shortcode. This part does not change. Give it exactly as it is. If it's uppercase, just put uppercase. If it's lowercase, put lowercase, yeah? So we have the business shortcode, just the one that we've given here. Then you also give the password that you generated. You remember this password that you generated somewhere here? Yes, you give that one. Now, one mistake I can think of, don't go and generate a password like, okay, let me not get there. I hope you won't. I will explain after I do all of this. Now, we have the password, then you give the timestamp, yeah? So you can have the timestamp right here, you also give it, and then you give the transaction type. And this time, you just use customer buy goods online. I think you also have another one, you can also handle that. So this is the transaction type, just put it like that. And then you have the amount. So the amount comes from where it came from here. So if I give 100, it will come in 100. If it's 1,000, it will come in 1,000. Some clients even have, people have paying 39,000, yes? If 39,000, just put 39,000. No commas, nothing, no spaces, just say 39,000, yeah? Phone number, you give the phone number. Remember, it is 254. There's no plus, there's no zero in between 4 and 7, yeah? Party B, you give the till number. I think it will just be straightforward given my code. So you just pick the till number that was here, you place it there. And then after that, you put the phone number again. The reason why they do that, I know not, but you just give it, yeah? Callback URL, you remember the callback URL I was talking about? You put it there. Account reference, you can give them empty, but here, this is for, we are running a raffle, so I call it Dusk Raffle, Damson and Sarah Community Foundation, yeah? Then the description, it can be anything. So don't exceed the required ones. I think they have some things you cannot exceed. So for instance, let me come back here. So it should be between 1 and 13 characters, yeah? So don't go beyond 13 characters, yeah? That means it should be something, yeah? So don't leave it empty, this one. Just put 1 to 13 characters. Don't go beyond that. For alphanumeric, for account reference, just use letters and numbers. Don't use anything else. Yeah, so don't use anything else. For callback, as I said, a callback is a valid, secure URL, so it must be in HTTPS, used to receive the notifications from M-Pesa API. It is the endpoint in which the results will be sent by M-Pesa API. Phone number is basically used to receive the STK pin prompt. It is the same as party A, yeah? So the same thing as I told you. 12 digits, 2547XXX or 2541, yeah? So I don't think they have updated. Also one works. Then party B will be given by, as I've shown you. Actually, it will be just the same way I've given the amount as I've told you. Oops, it can only be 10 characters, yeah? So don't give beyond 10 million or something. Okay, I'm not sure, something there about, or 10 billion. Now, transaction type, you can never give per customer pay bill online, but what you are using for till numbers is customer buy goods online, yeah? So use that. Recommend to your client that you want to use that, yeah? Then timestamp, as I've told you, you just give it the way I've shown you, year, month, day, hours, minute, and seconds, just as I've shown you in the code. Then password, you just do the encoding. As I told you, the encoding did not work back then, so I tweaked, I did the decoding afterwards, but you'll see how I've handled it in other scenarios, yeah? Then business short code will be given by Safaricom. I've ranted. I want now to know whether we are together. If you're together, you can give me a thumbs up. If you're together, give me a thumbs up on what Safaricom takes. I hope nothing is foreign. I've explained where everything comes from, yeah, and how everything is done. If not, give me a thumbs down, please. It's a request for you to give me a thumbs down so that I can explain again in a better way. Understanding is critical. All right, I'll assume that as a yes. I'll assume that as a yes, that you've understood. So let's go back to our code. Now, the same thing I've described right here. You give all those parameters. Then after that, you send a post request. I repeat, you send a post request. Remember here you do a get request, so that can be a source of problem. So do a post request, yeah, so send a post request. Whereby the same way you give the URL, you give the headers like we did before. The headers basically is just the authorization using the access token, and then the content type is a JSON, yeah. If you read more on that, you understand if you're fresh on this. Then the JSON, you just say JSON, then you give the payload, yeah. Basically the payload, you're giving all of these, yeah. You're giving all of these. Now, then you print the result. We'll try to print and see what it brings back. I think we saw it before, but we'll see it again. Yeah, so there's that. Now, I'm going to look now at the Node.js version before we run it. So when it comes to Node, I'm basing it based on the results we got from the poll. A lot of people are using Node and Python, but I've tried to cater for it in the code. Now, here, of course, we're using Express.js and Axios. Now, here we have the base URL, as usual. We have the access token URL because we need to use an access token at the end of the day. Here we have the push request URL, yeah. Then here we have the business shortcode from Safaricom, passkey from Safaricom at the very end. So for now, just use mine, yeah. So don't ask where will I get the passkey, just use mine for the moment. Safaricom will give you at the end. If you try to find it here, you won't get it. It won't give you on my apps here, so it won't give you. Now, what else? What about the passkey? I've said it will be given to you by Safaricom. Till number, the same thing from Safaricom. Currently, you can use mine. Callback URL is where will be the result sent, as I've said. Consumer key, as I've said, you'll get it from when you create the app. Yeah, I wonder why they shouldn't just give everything to you when you're registering, but it's fine. Now, here is just the function to get access token. We've already talked about it. Now, to STK push, we do the same thing. So here we are getting the amount. If it's not given, you just use a 1 by default. The same thing for phone number. Don't try to run it as it is. These are invalid numbers. You can see 2544. It must always be 2547 or 2541, yeah. I've just put it like that so that I don't get requests on my phone if I used mine. Then you get the access token, as I've said. So you get the access token. This is just it. Maybe I should have called the function, maybe, but now you see this is an endpoint. I cannot do that. Yeah, so here we have, you get the access token. After getting the access token, you create the timestamp. As you can see right there, how I've shown you how the timestamp will look like. And then what do? Then you create the password. So you just turn it into a base 64 as I've shown. Then you now send the STK push request. No, here's just the URL. We are combining it to be 2, yeah, so that it can be complete based on the base and then the ending part. Then here, as I said, you just put content type, application JSON, authorization, then you put your access token. I think I've already mentioned that. Then for the payload, just the same thing. The business shortcode up there, the password that you created, the timestamp you created, the transaction type is buy goods online, or you can use pay bill, yeah, depending on your use. Then amount is the one I've shown you. If it's one ticket, just use 1,000. I'm just give an example. If it's 5 tickets, just use 5,000. Yeah. If you're giving a discount, do minus 10. Then you give 4,990. Yeah. So don't do calculations here. Just bring the result that you have done calculations there, then you bring it here. Party A, the phone number. Party B, the till number. But the phone number again, yeah. Then callback URL, the one I've said. Account reference, you give anything that is a number or a letter. Transaction desk, don't go beyond 13 characters and don't be empty. Give something, yeah. Now, after that, you send the request, as I had said. You do the push request URL, the payload, where we have the headers, etc. This is peculiar. Just wait a moment, let me check something. Oh, yeah, it's fine, we put a comma here. It's my bad. Yeah, so we have the URL, then we have the payload, and then we have the headers. Yeah, so you give them like that. Then we'll display the data it will bring. So in conclusion, that's how we do the STK push. If you've understood the code, you can give me a thumbs up. How we are doing things right from the top. You take the access token, then after that you generate a timestamp. Then after generating a timestamp, you generate a password. Yeah, after generating a password, I've showed you how to generate the password. It's not given to you by Safaricom, you generate it. Yeah, after doing that, you now give the payload, and then you have your URL, and then you have your headers. Remember, 2 headers. Yeah, then after that you send a post request. Now I'm going to do it live using Python. I'm going to do it live using Python so that you can have a look. Time is not on our side. Really quick. So there it is. I'm going to use Python to illustrate. Now, while you're here, I call it making STK, just the same thing as we have on the other side. Now, here we can see we have all the versions. I'm going to use Python. I'm going first to ensure that's okay. So I'm going to use Python. Now, here we want to get the access token, you're okay with that. But now at STK push, we want to display our timestamp so that you can see how it looks like. So print, then I say the timestamp is this, is, maybe I do that, and then I say timestamp. Then after doing that, I'm also going to print how the password will look like. Yeah, so print, then I'll say the password looks like this. So I'll call it password. Yeah, the variable is called password, so don't worry if you don't understand Python. We'll see how it looks like. Then the URL, we want to see how it will look like at the end, so I'll say the URL is this. And then we now want to see the headers. Headers, of course, they'll be just exactly the same thing. Now we want to see how the payload will look like, so print, and then I'll say the payload looks like this. Okay, STK push payload dot items. Yeah, so there's that. Don't worry, just Python. Now the payload looks like that, and then after that we now look at the response. So I'll come here and say print, this is the response that we got from Safaricom. Time is not on our side. I don't like going beyond time. Okay, so I'm going to run it. Before I do that, I need to give a correct phone number down here. So I'm going to use an amount of 1 shilling, and then I'm going to give them now my phone number 25411474234. Then we have the amount, then we'll print the result. So I'm going to run it. Hopefully there are no errors. So there it is. Now here you can see the timestamp is that. So we have the year. Oh, it has given me on my phone. I'm going just to cancel this. We are not learning anything beyond that. So we have the timestamp, the year, the month right there. We have the date is 15th. Then we have 20th. Sorry, 20. Right now it's 8:56, 33 seconds. Yeah, so there is that. That's how the timestamp should look like. The password is some jargon. Remember we did some encoding somewhere, yeah? So that's how the password looks like. Inside it, we have the business shortcode, we have the passkey, we have the timestamp, yeah? And then the URL that will be used to send the request, yeah? So that's it combined. Then Then this is how the payload looks like. So we are going to send the business shortcode, we are going to send the password, yeah, there it is. We are going to send the timestamp, we are going to send the transaction, which is payment goods, then amount you're going to send one. The party A will be my phone number, party B will be the till number, then we also have the phone number again, then we have the callback URL. I've told what it is. Then the account reference can be anything, yeah, as long as it letters and numbers. Then transaction description is basically anything. It should not be empty, but it should not go beyond 13 characters, yeah. Then this is the response we got from Safaricom. We got the merchant request ID, yeah. We are not going to use it anywhere. We got the checkout request ID. Now remember, the checkout request ID, you now need to store it, yeah. If it's with a ticket, etc., if it's with an order, so that we need to track whose order is the payment being done, it's for which order, and what thing facilitates that, the checkout request ID, yeah? So you store this part, yeah. Then we have the response code. 0 means it's okay, any other thing it means not okay. Then you can see success, request accepted for processing. You can send that one to the user, yeah. If I make a payment right now on the site, it will be given, that's what the user will get. And then customer message, that's what the customer message. This down here is just the same thing and printed it twice. All right, so that's how you do the STK push. Nothing difficult, I hope. If you're okay, give me a thumbs up as we close. If you're okay with the STK push, give me a thumbs up as we close. STK push, give me a thumbs up as we close. Maybe we can test it one more time. One of you to give me their number, and then I can test it on their end, and then they can confirm, they can see the same thing as we call it a day. Anyone? You can just shout it loud, and then I will start. And then you tell me what you see. Anyone? It's 1 shilling, don't worry, not much. Oops, we are closing really quick. Anyone, just really quick as we call it a day. All right, no one is volunteering. Okay, yeah, we'll do it in the next class if no one is volunteering. Or you can do it on your own, yeah? That's still fine. Okay, so cheers, let's meet in the... I see a question here. I don't want to go...
Yes, there's a question.
I don't want to go beyond time. Allow me to respond to this in the next class. Is that okay, Sheila? Okay, yeah, so let me just store it somewhere. Let's do this in the next class. Cheers and have a nice evening ahead. Shukran. Shukran. Thank you. Let me paste it in the chat for ease. All right. Thank you.